Welcome to the Property Gurus. This video is a compilation of a series of videos that we have posted on YouTube that document a hip to gable loft conversion that was completed recently. You're seeing here a summary of the work that was done each day, and if you want more details and want to see something specific, then just look at our YouTube channel and you'll be able to find a much longer video for each day's work. Hopefully you'll be able to pick up some tips and ideas and concepts that you can utilize in your loft conversion. And the point of these videos really was to show that it is possible to produce a high quality product in a short space of time. 18 days start to finish for a loft conversion is very quick. Most builders will quote you 3 to 6 months, but it can be done. You need to plan ahead. You need to be very specific in terms of what you're doing. But hopefully you'll get inspiration from this and enjoy the videos. So please subscribe if you haven't already, and we will speak to you again soon. Thank you.
The existing roof, which is the old concrete tiles, not in great condition. These will all be taken off and going to be replaced with new tiles. And you can see here they've got the sloped roof on the side. Two houses opposite here, one's got the pitched roof as it was originally on the right hand side, and the one on the left hand side has been fully extended and squared off for the hip to gable loft conversion, the same as what we'll be doing here with this roof. In the back of the house, again, it's another pitched roof, so it's sloping up. If we look at the one next door, they've had theirs converted already. So they've got the one next door and the one next door to that. So they've got what they call the dormer. Let's head on up into the loft space as it is now. There's an old loft ladder that was here originally, and then we'll just go up into the loft and have a look what we've got today. So if we come up into the loft, we'll see that all of the old roof structure trusses are all still up here. We've got you can see the roof itself, the felt on the inside is in reasonably good condition, and all of the woodwork looks okay as well, but this is all going to go. Now up here, interestingly, at some point in the past in this house, they removed the chimney breasts at the back of the property, and they've not done it at the front, so the front has still got all the chimney breasts in place. And then where you have two sets of chimney breasts, they meet in the middle here to go up to the chimney stack. Now they have, where they've taken off this rear chimney breast, they've inserted what they call a gallows bracket. And this gallows bracket is supported by the party wall. You can see, if I walk around to the side, you can see that it is a triangular structure that sits out, supports the bricks for the chimney stack above it. And then it comes down to a taper and is supported by 3 or 4 bricks on each side that are fixed into the party wall. So these gallows brackets are quite common if you've had an old house where the chimney breast has been taken out, but building control these days are not too keen, because if you have both neighbours who have a gallows bracket and the people next door had their chimney supported by it, you'd have the whole of this chimney stack would be supported by the party wall, which if it was in high winds potentially could cause damage. So as part of this build, we are replacing this gallows bracket. We're going to put a steel across the floor, and then there'll be a steel plate underneath this, which we will then brick up to the bottom of that gallows bracket, so that all of the weight is then taken by the steel beam rather than the party wall.
The felt and tiles have already been stripped off the old roof. The concrete tiles that you saw in the first video, they've all gone in the skip along with the felt. And now the guys have started the job of removing the timber structure for the old pitched roof, because we won't be retaining any of this. We're going to build an entirely new timber roof structure. So they're literally just cutting through all the old timber. You can see that it's in quite good condition. It's not rotted, but it's not the right structure that we need for the new roof. So they're cutting away all of the timber, and then everything's being passed down to the skip on the ground floor. Once we have removed everything and completely stripped back the old roof, then we'll start the process of constructing the new loft conversion with the steels and the dormer that's going to form the new bedroom and ensuite bathroom space. So here we are now back on site, and you can see we are cutting into the party wall. This is the wall between the two houses to create a small cavity, which we then put the bearer plate across before the steel beam is inserted and put into its final position. So that's the work that's being done on the party wall at the front there. You can see the layout of the steels. The two side-to-side steels are now in place. This one at the rear has actually been fitted. So if you look, you can see that the party wall has also been cut there, and the bearer plate is the dark part underneath the end of the steel. We then move across. We can have a look at the bearer plates in more detail. This bearer plate has been fitted on the external wall, so we've built up the masonry beneath it, and then it's cemented into place, and that spreads the load when the steel's on it. We can see the steel's already been fitted, so the bearer plate's underneath it, and the steel rests on top of that, and that will be all fixed into place, but gravity will hold that firmly. But this, we did the preparation work yesterday to put the bearer plate in place. This is the steel that will sit underneath the gallows bracket. You can see the large section on the end that's been welded. The three steels that we looked at earlier are now all fitted in place. So you can see that the guys have started fitting the timber joist that will form the floor structure. Look at this end of this steel. The bearer plate is now in position. It's been fixed in. It's been all tested, and it's level and straight. And the floor will now sit on these joists that are fitted into the I-beam steel. So they're called I-beams because they look like an eye on a cross section. You can see here the capital I. And the timber is then all fitted snugly into place, and then across each piece, the small pieces are called noggins that are placed in to stop the timber from moving and keeping it all rigid. So you can see the build-up of the floor. The insulation will sit inside this cavity to make sure that it's got good insulation in the loft. But you can see how much extra height you need for the floor on top of where your ceiling is from the room below. They're quite significant. If we have a look from above, we can see the steels in place, the three main ones that we looked at earlier, the two ones that join from side to side. You can see here where the gallows bracket is, the black piece of steel that's fitted to the wall from 20 or 30 years ago. Underneath that, we've got the metal plate, and then you can see the chimney stack. Even though the breasts have been removed below, the chimney stack's still above it. That piece that we saw earlier with the welded section for the brickwork has now been fitted into the wall. We have a look in some more detail. This is the bearer plate from the work that was being done earlier in the party wall, the black piece, and then the cross piece has been fitted. The guy here is actually cutting some holes into this to put a vertical steel in to support the ridge beam. But this is the plate in more detail, where we will put some brickwork on top of this that will bear the weight of it. We'll brick up to the gallows bracket above to provide extra support for this chimney stack that's still sitting on the house and is used by both properties. Now we're having the final steel fitted for today, and that's a vertical steel which is bolted into, you can see the bolts, the silver bolts, that's bolted into the steel on the floor and will support the ridge beam. We put this steel plate in, and then we've actually installed some engineering bricks on top of that plate and filled them right up to the bottom of the gallows bracket. So we've still got the original gallows bracket that's been there for 20 plus years, but now these bricks are sitting on a steel support which is fixed between the other steels and also into the party wall, so very secure. And we've now added some extra security by filling that whole gap in.
So today the guys have put the front structure, the timber structure, on the roof, so you can see that they've got that laid out here. I'll look at this in a bit more detail later. And of course, so if enabled to do that, they've had to finish putting all the steels in. So we can see across the middle here, we've got the ridge beam in, which is sitting at the very highest point for all of the steels, and then the timber frame for the roof structure is built over and above that, so the steel's taking the weight of that. This is only one half of the roof. Obviously we're going to build the dormer at the back here, so there'll be a box structure built square off the back, which will form the full head height area for the bedroom and the ensuite shower room. So here we are now, just at the base of the new roof structure. You can see that it rises up to the ridge beam in the middle. This has been fixed around the original timber, so you can see all of these pieces have been cut to shape to fit nicely on top of the original timber that was here for the previous roof, which was this timber's in good condition. There's no need to replace that. And then what we've got on this side is going to be fully tiled, so this is just timber beams that will apply felt on top of that, and then the tiles will sit on top of it. And then as we move across, and the reason for that is that is where the staircase is going to come up, so, and it's restricted head height in this section. And then into the main section of the room, here we've got cutouts for 2 Velux windows, so you can see these squares where the timber has been shaped.
Today the guys have built the dormer structure at the back of the loft. So we saw yesterday that the front section here had been completed for the roof, and now we've got the dormer, which, as I mentioned in the last video, is a box construction entirely of timber. So you can see as we come along the side here that the timber frame has been put in place in addition to what was yesterday. So look at the steel beam, the ridge beam. We fitted into this the joists that make up the ceiling for the dormer at the back. So you can see the big ceiling joists have been cut to size and fit neatly into the eye of the I-beam on the ridge beam across the top. So the structure has been completed in timber, and then the sections have all been then filled in using plyboard. So you can see that the roof has all been fitted, but we've got an overhang across the edge. That will be fitted later with the GRP edging, and we'll be pouring GRP roof. The back has all been filled in, as you can see here. The windows have been cut out to size as per the drawings that were approved by planning, and come across the edging all the way across the top, and an overhang on the side where we are joined to the neighbour. So here we are on the outside. If we just step through and we can see exactly what all the guys have been doing on the inside of the dormer. So if we have a look down here, this is going to be the cupboard wall that we can see on the right hand side. So we can see that all of the structure has been supported by vertical timber. So this is the same type of timber that we've used on the floor. So we've got the vertical uprights which have been used to create the frame, and then across the back we've got the solid timber across the top, and the windows have been made to measure in line with the planning drawings. So everything internally here has been left with a cavity that you can see that will be filled with insulation once we've done the first fix electrics and plumbing in this whole space. So here you can see that we have boxed around the chimney breast where the gallows bracket and the bricks that we put in later were all finished up. Now we've created a slight L shape, so the room will step out around the chimney. We just put the verticals in, and this will, once it's insulated and we've finished all of that, we'll put plasterboard over the top of that, plaster it, and it will just have a sort of slight kink in the wall. So the whole of this structure here obviously will disappear under plasterboard eventually, but you can see the big cavities where we will put the kingspan insulation later. This is the end of the room internally, so this will be a vertical wall. We're going to put two cupboard doors, one at this end and one at the far end, so that we can access the space behind it for storage. So if we have a look through here, you'll be able to get a feel for it. So it's reasonably big area, floor space, about 2 meters from one side to the other, and it's obviously restricted head height, but there's still a lot of valuable storage space here. So quite often you'll find builders will just close this off. It's a real shame, real waste if they do that. So if you're doing a loft conversion, make sure that you plan ahead to be able to access all of the storage space once the build's complete. Looking over to the other side, we will have the staircase is going to be on this side, and also the bathroom will be constructed here. So the section where there's no floor joists here will be cut out, and this will be where the stairs will be coming up into the room. So this will be removed. This floor, which is actually the ceiling from below, will be cut out, and the stairs will be rising up here.
And today we've installed the staircase. So the floor previously was just joisted, and this was the ceiling from the area below. So the guys have basically cut out this hole in the floor today, removed the ceiling from below, and the staircase was made to measure by staircase manufacturer and was brought to site and has been assembled on site today. Let's just have a walk down this staircase. So it's been assembled in pieces, and you can see the balustrading's been put on, and under here it's come in different pieces which have been fitted today. So this is where they've constructed the hole in the ceiling. It's a nice neat job, nice and square, and the actual staircase itself has been fitted. It's been screwed to the original external wall. And the turn is here. And this was previously landing balustrade. It's been cut out, and they've joined two balustrades here. And this piece here has been put in until all of the glue and the adhesive goes off overnight. That'll be removed tomorrow. In the corner over that section will be the bathroom. So the door has been fixed into the middle of the bathroom. So as we come round, we can see the opening is where the door is going to be fixed. And the dimensions of this room, we've got 1.5 meters. So this is 1.5 meters across the floor. So as you go through the door here on the left, we're going to have this section on the left is going to be a wall-to-wall shower on the left. Then we'll have a vanity unit in the middle, toilet to the right, window here, and then opposite the toilet we will have a wall-hung radiator. So, and the door to this room will open outwards. So here we are at the front section of the property. As you can see, this has now been felt and battened. So the guys have put felt across the structure that you saw previously, which was the timbers with the gaps between them. So here you can see that it's all been pinned across, and then on top of the felt we put battens, which is basically timber which has been fixed to the original structure, and on top of these battens will be placed the tiles. So if we have a look at the end section here where it joins the neighbour's property, you can see that some tiles have already been fixed on here. The other addition that we've done today is we've actually fitted the Velux windows. The initial fitting has been done, So this structure has been fitted into the gaps that were previously in. So you can see that comes as a single piece. So it's already glazed, that's already in. And then the flashing kit will be added before the tiles go on, so that the flashing will be some the lead that goes around the window to make sure that nothing can penetrate in. And on the side walls, this section has now been completed. So this, you can see on the cross section where the window is, you can see the battens that are the same as these battens on the front. So the battens are a bit closer together on the side structure because the tiles are smaller. So you can see these tiles are significantly smaller than the tiles we just had a look at around the front, and these are vertical wall hung. So this section here, you can see quite a nice intricate pattern of overlapping, spreading out until the point where they're able to do them vertically in a more uniform structure towards the bottom. So this section here has all been fitted along the edge of the eaves for the front, and then we've got a small eave here, and then coming down, and then it joins onto the dormer structure across the back of the property. So you can have a look around the side and then across the back. This section here is where we've got the vent pipe coming out, so you can see through into there, and this will be where the air vent is for the bathroom inside, so that'll be the extractor fan. And then this is the corner section here. These are corner tiles. See that they come pre-formed in a shape, and we've got them alternating, one with the large section here and then the next one with the large section here and the smaller section. So again, to prevent any water being able to get through into the property. And then across the back, let's have a look. So we've got more batten work and the felt. So this is the felt before it's cut to shape for the window. More batten work, and then the tiles have been done all across the bottom section. And we'll just have a look round the corner. So this is the far corner where we adjoin the neighbour's property. So all the vertical tiles have been hung. Now at the end of day 6, we'll just have a quick look at the first fix plumbing and electrics. So where we've got the bathroom here, we have fitted what will be the soil pipe for the toilet. The toilet will be in this back corner, so that's been fed through the wall and strapped in. We've also, in this area, this is where we brought up the cables originally. So the cables are here that have come up from the consumer unit, the fuse board, and also the feed for the water for both the plumbing and the heating up here. So this is the source where we brought everything up in this corner next to the stairs. So now we've done first fix, we'll just follow it round. You can see that the cables here have been fed what will be behind the wall in the stairs, and then into this area, this is in terms of the design, we've got a small alcove here which would be next to in reduced head height. We thought this would be perfect for a study. You can fit a desk in here or a dressing table. So this will be a sort of 2 meter by 2 meter alcove space. So in here we have planned for a plug socket for the desk. So this is the cable has been fed up and a socket will be fitted onto the wall there. Then if we pan across, we've got a cupboard door, and then next to that we've fitted another plug socket, and then pan further across a final plug socket. And the idea here in terms of the planning is that the bed head could be situated underneath the 2 Velux windows, and there'll be a power socket either side. So it's important to plan your power sockets when you're stud working everything out. Moving across, there's also a possibility you may want to put the bed across this wall. So we have fitted we'll be fitting a power socket here and here where you see the vertical grey cables. So again, be either side of the headboard. And then looking around onto the back wall, this is quite a big space, about 5 meters across. So we put a socket here where the grey cable is, and also over in this corner. So you've got flexibility. Again, you could put a desk or dressing table or some other piece of furniture here. Then in terms of the plumbing, the radiator is going to be situated under the window, so you can see the two white pipes which have been fed up, and these go across into the bathroom area, which is going to be the source of all the water. There's also going to be a radiator here on this wall opposite the toilet, so that's been the pipework for that has been put in as well. So finally on day 6, now that we've got all the insulation in place, so the first fix has been done, so all the insulation has been laid, and this is the rock wool insulation, this sort of loose soft material which can be rolled out. So that's been fitted in between all of the floor joists all the way across, and now that that's been done and all the cabling's been done, all the flooring is now in place. So you can see that the chipboard floor has been put down. We will be putting an oak floor on top of this. This is now all fixed in and starting to look like a room. You can see the size of the room is starting to take shape. It's really quite a big space now, starting to feel quite generous in terms of size.
This comes ready-made. You have a hardening agent which you apply, you pour it into the resin, and that's then instigates the chemical reaction, which means that it's then active, and you've got about an hour to use this. So we've got a long-handled roller. But before we start that, we've had to prep the roof surface itself. So you saw in the previous videos that we put some plyboard as the surface for the roof. We then use fiberglass on both the top and the sides. So you can see here the edging is flexible. It's very lightweight. It's just made of fiberglass, and we just put this all around the edges. So you can see there's a defined lip, which means that the water, when it's running on the roof, will be caught by this edge, and that will encourage the water to run down. We've got about a 4% gradient on this flat roof, so the water will sit up at the edges and then come down. So this is the resin as we showed before, big tin of that. We put fiberglass all over the roof structure itself, and then this roller has got grooves in it, so it's a metal roller, and you can see that it's got different lines, and this really this encourages the resin to really go in on top of the fiberglass itself. So this is the plyboard has been covered with sheets of fiberglass, which is literally just fiber, and then we pour the resin on top and push it down with this roller so that it really goes through every single crevice and crack in the fiberglass to make sure that it's completely sealed. And this resin will go rock hard once it's set, but at the moment it's nice and pliable, so we can push it through. And this is quite a laborious job because you can see the size of the roller versus the size of the roof, so it's quite a manual task, but we basically just go over every single inch of the roof, pushing the resin down through the fiberglass so that you've got a complete bond of the two fitting together. This is the top coat that will be applied later, so we'll let those 2 coats of resin set completely rock hard, and then later we'll apply that top coat, and that will be the final finish for the roof. Moving back around to the front section, the pitched section of the roof, just looking at the chimney, the lead flashing has now been completed, so you can see here that we put flashing all around the chimney to make sure it's entirely watertight. The Velux windows are fitted. All the flashing kit has now been put in, so you can see down the side and along the top we've now put in the water protection, so that's on both the windows. You can see underneath they've got the skirt which laps over the top of the tiles. The piece round the side and the top will actually be fitted underneath the tiles. The tiles will be laid on top of that, and the water will run down the channel either side of the window and will then run off to the gutters below. And then if we move on to the end section, the last few tiles are now being applied, so you can see that all the tiles come in a standard size and are then cut down to size to make the end piece. So we just bring this one here, just fits it in to make sure it's exactly the right size that he wants. So that will then be nailed into position, which the nail goes through the tile and into the blue batten that you can see have all been laid out.
So today the roof structure has been completed. So picking up from where we were yesterday, along the top here, the ridge tiles have been put in place, and the final section of the front tiling for the roof has been done. We saw yesterday that they were fitting the edge to this. That's all been completed now. Along the top here, the ridge tiles have been put on. These are actually clipped in place. You can see the clip on the top. So all the way along here, these are actually clipped. And the reason they're not cemented down is that there's to allow cross circulation of air. So we've got a gap here, an air vent. So the air, rather than becoming trapped and creating moisture and problems internally, we've got air ventilation all the way across both sides of the ridge. So if moisture and air is building up inside the roof, if it gets hot when people are living here, this will be able to allow a bit of ventilation and allow that moisture to evaporate out rather than being trapped at the top of the roof and causing condensation and damp and other issues. Now, going on to the dormer roof, this has now been finished with the top coat. We'll have a look over here. I can show you the top coat before we have a good look at the roof. We had a look at this yesterday before it was opened. So this is the Pro GRP top coat. You can see there. Now this stuff, it comes pre-made, and you add the hardener. So this stuff here, you add this into the mix, and then there's chemical reaction, and that stuff then starts to set. So you've got a limited amount of time. You've got probably a couple of hours to work with this stuff. You can see here, this is what's left. It's starting to become a bit more jelly-like. It's a bit thicker than you'd like to be using. So that's actually can't be used anymore. But on the top of the roof here, from what we saw yesterday, this has had 2 coats of the top coat. So if you do a bit of close-up, you can see that this is quite a thick paint-like substance, and it's been put all the way along the edge. This was the plastic that we looked at yesterday, which is fiberglass, which is hollow, but this has now been completely covered in the top coat, and this top coat's been applied all the way across the top of the dormer roof. So we saw yesterday that this was a plyboard structure, which we then applied the fiberglass on top of, and then the resin was put on top of the fiberglass to secure it all down and make it more watertight. And this top coat is really just sealing everything into place. So it's been applied all the way across the whole surface, and on all this edging you can see that it's complete surface. So 2 coats have been applied to this. So we've now completed all of the insulation for the loft area. So if I just have a quick scan around this room, you'll see that all of the vertical timber, so this previously there's a big hollow gap here between these 2 timbers. This has all been filled by the 100mm thick insulation. So the insulation that we showed earlier, this 10 centimeters thick, or 100mm thick, this has been cut to size and then is actually been pushed in between all of the individual timbers. So that's all around the room. And then if we look at the eaves here, where we've got the cupboard that we're creating, if you remember, creating this cupboard where the bed head will probably go. In there we've got all the insulation as well. So you can see the 2 forms of insulation. We've got the soft rock wool, which has been rolled on top of the ceiling below, and that's got any first fix underneath it. And then in the eaves itself, we've put all of this 10 centimeter thick insulation, and that's round all of the walls. So this is now all ready for building control inspection. But if we just have a look at the ceiling, so as we saw previously, the ceiling area is being pushed. We're putting the 10 centimeter thick insulation up in between the joists. So you can see here where this light fitting is coming out, we've left a gap so that we can put the actual downlight in there. But it gives you a good opportunity to see the thickness of the insulation and how it's sitting on all the ceiling. But that's only 100mm, and the building regs say it has to be 120mm. So what we've done is we have then fixed the thin sheets, remember this thin sheet of 20mm thick insulation, so that's different to the bigger sheet, it's the thin sheet. All of these have now been fixed to the ceiling, so you can see the whole ceiling area is now completely covered with all of these sheets of insulation, and that's also on the eaves around where the Velux windows is, the bit that's in the actual room itself, that's all been covered with this 20mm thick insulation as well. And the reason for that is it creates this barrier to stop the heat going out. If it was left like this, then this timber here is actually touching the plyboard at the top. So you can see the timber touches the plyboard, which all is above that plyboard is the resin roof that we saw previously. So there's no thermal insulation capacity in that roof. So if we left the room like this and put plasterboard on it, all the heat as it touched the plasterboard would disappear straight up. This timber would be cold and would suck all of the heat through the roof, and we'd have issues with heat loss and possibly also with condensation. So rather than leaving it like that, we have to cover it so that it means that if the heat is coming up, it's actually just going to be bouncing back off this. I mean, this will all be covered with plasterboard and then plastered, so you won't see any of this, but it just shows you all the insulation that's in place that's now acting as a double layer. So we've got the thick stuff in the walls, and then we've got all the thin stuff that is on the ceiling. So this room is now completely finally insulated.
The big thing today is we're going to be watertight completely because the windows will be installed. So these apertures were created when we built the timber structure, and then the guys came out and measured them before making these windows. So these windows have been made to measure and are now being installed by the guys. So the ensuite window's already been put in. So we go and have a look at that. You can see that it's been installed, but it doesn't actually have any glass in it yet. So the glass comes again in purpose-built, made-to-measure units, and they are sealed in the factory. So that means that they have the right insulation capacity, and that you're not going to get any drafts and leakages or issues with that. So they'll put the windows in a bit later, and then the actual glass, and then they will seal that all through with rubber gaskets. So looking at the rest of the room, the guys here are still installing the plasterboard. So as we saw outside, it comes in large sheets of about 2.4 meters, and these are basically screwed to every surface that needs them. So they're put on all the walls, and so you can see here around the window it's all been fitted, and on the ceiling up here. So these are screwed into place, screwed into the joists that you saw previously that the room has been constructed with. So you can see here the joists are still showing at the bottom. So these are all screwed securely into place, and the key thing here is not to have any gaps between the plasterboard itself, because if you do, it will create cracks. So looking up at the ceiling here, it's all been fitted nice and tight. Go over to this corner. You can see it's all different sizes that have been cut, but the key issue really is to try and minimize the gaps between these sheets, because when you come to a room and you find that a crack keeps reappearing every time you fill and paint it, it's because it's not been done properly. So you can still see the insulation underneath here. This hasn't been finished yet around this window. They've fitted the board all nicely down into the reveals. So this has been done, nice square job on this. So this is now ready for the guys to come and put some scrim tape. So they will put tape that's like fiberglass tape that goes all across the joints to make sure that there's no movement and no cracking.
The guys have now actually finished all the plastering in here. So we can see that everything has now, all the board that was here before with the insulation on it has all now been completely plastered through. So see the first fix plumbing, so you see these two pipes that come out where the radiator is going to be. So it's important, you know, the size of your radiators before you do that, so that you get a nice clean finish where the pipe comes straight out of the wall rather than having to come through the floor and having your carpet being cut around it. So everything, all the walls have been done here. As we see, you can turn around. And the ceiling's also been done. So there's a couple of nice finishes in the ceiling. So over here where we've got our pitched roof, you should be able to see there's a nice curve that they've created. So up here, it's curved rather than having a straight edge, which would always tend to crack. They've done a nice curved finish, which is a nice, it looks good, and also should be better in the long run for less chance of splits and cracking appearing here. So everything's been done. We've got our design. This is what could be a small workspace area or a dressing table area. We've got set back, which would be dead space normally. Sometimes these are used at the top of stairwells for a little landing, but we thought it would be better having it in the room. People are working from home more these days, so it's a potential workspace, really useful little space. I mean, we could make it into fitted cupboards, but we didn't want to. Next to that, we've got the built-in wardrobe, so that's been built. The landing, where the top of the stairs finishes, you have to have a minimum of 850 millimeters, for safety measures, for building control. So we thought that because the doorway had to come that far forward, this space was going to be lost. So making it into a wardrobe is ideal. So we will have a hanging rail sort of across the middle piece here, and then put 3 shelves above that. We'll have some nice doors, and it's got a bit of extra height inside, so it'd be useful space.
The second fix, so you can see these cables hanging out the wall here. They are for the lights that will go into the hallway, and we go back into the main room. We've now been fitting the back boxes and pulling the cables through for all of the different electrical points. So we've got a double socket here. So this was put in, the cables, if you remember, were attached to the timber, and we've been locating them and setting these boxes in the right positions, and then pulling the cable through ready for the electrician to connect it all up. So if you have a look at this socket, you can see that we've had to make sure that it's entirely square. So you see the lines that have been drawn around it in the pencil. We've had a spirit level on that to make sure that it is horizontal and perfectly level, and then either side of it also making sure that it doesn't get fitted in wonky or incorrect. And then we have to set it at a certain height from the floor for building control. So all of these points have been measured. So you can go into the next one, you can see this doesn't have the back box in it yet. So the small hole in the wall has been put in to find the cable. We put the back box into this one and pulled the cable through, and then going round into our cubby hole home office, you can see the one in the corner doesn't yet have its back box in. This is the light switch for this area. So we're going to have lighting for if you're going to put a desk in here, that will have its own switch. And there's also going to be a light in the cupboard under the eaves, so that's going to be switched there as well. And this single gang socket here is the dimmer switch that will control all of the downlights in the room. So just stepping into the bathroom, this hasn't been boarded yet. We've started it, but it's not yet been done. We fixed the shower valve to the timber, so that's now in position. All the pipe work is ready to go. You can see the black pipe there, that's the soil pipe for the sink. Up here we've got the vent, which will be the extractor fan. So later in the same day, we've now finished all the boarding around here. You can see we've created these 2 cubby holes inside the shower. So the big one is for all the shampoo bottles, the top one just for some candles and nice things to dress the room. This will all be tiled in. And then above that is where the shower head will be fixed. So that's going to come out about 400mm. So the shower head will be set quite away from those 2 little cubby holes. And we've also got a shaver socket in this room, so we fitted it into this cavity because we've got the space to do it. That'll be alongside the sink and the mirror on the wall, so that's all going to look quite nice. And so moving on to the tiling of the bathroom itself, come in here, you can see they've got a big bucket of adhesive made up. So the way the guys are doing this is to put a large amount of adhesive onto the wall. So they're putting it on the wall, not on the tiles. So you can see here This has been put on with a spreader, so it's sitting out quite thick. But you can see the grooves in it, which mean that when you push it on, it sucks in the tile, and you can push out all of that airspace. So you can see the guys here. It's a much easier way of doing it, that they measure the space for the tile, bring the tile in, and then they can just push it on into place with the adhesive just holding the tile, and that will set overnight. That'll go rock hard. So you can see the side wall's already been done.
Here we are now. The bathroom has been fitted. So the shower, we built the shower wall to wall. So this is a 1.2 meter wide shower. So we've now fitted the crossbar at the top and the fixed glass panel here. The sliding door is waiting to be attached. It's got some rollers which are all sitting in the cubbyhole over there. So the shower's now all been, we've siliconed everything, so you can see the nice white silicone which gives it the watertight seal everywhere. So all the sections in here have been siliconed, and we fitted the shower controls, the valve. So top one controls the rainfall shower. We've got a massive shower head here which is fixed to the wall with a fixed arm, so that's nice. That'll deliver a lot of water. So top one controls that. Bottom one controls this separate handheld shower which we have fitted in. That's been plumbed in separately. So that's if you just want to wash something down, or you don't want to get your hair wet. And then the middle one controls the temperature. And we built these two cubby holes. So the first one here really is to store all the showers. Pretty deep this is almost 300 mil deep, so we can get plenty of shampoo and shower gel and anything else that you want to store in there. And then the top one is more decorative, so you can see that we've actually fitted 3 lights into the top of this. So these are sort of decking lights that will illuminate this, and we'll put some candles or maybe some fake plants or something in here, so that'll look quite nice. So the shower area is looking pretty good. Then over here we've now got the vanity unit fitted for the sink. So again, to have some extra storage space, we've done one that's freestanding. So in here we've got 2 storage shelves, and you'll see that we've also fitted a decorative bottle trap in here. So we've got the plastic fitting at the back, but the bottle trap looks a bit more attractive. So when you open the cupboard, once you've got your shampoos and bleach and anything else in here, all you'll see is that nice bottle trap. And then above it, it's got pretty stylish, this is a resin sink. It's got a click-clack, one of these click-clack plugs in it, and then the tap itself, which is now operational. So pretty simple one-hand tap. On the side here next to the sink is the shaver socket, so you could use that for shaving, or more likely these days for use for you charging your toothbrush. And then above that we've got a little storage hatch which is actually enables us in the future to be able to reach those 3 lights. So if the bulbs fail, we'll be able to open that and replace them without having to break the tiles, which is great. Down the bottom under the shower, as we saw previously that all the plumbing is in here. This section here, we've left it to be siliconed. So rather than grouting that, we'll silicone this in, which means that in the future, if there's a problem, we can just cut the silicone and remove that tile to access all the plumbing. And we've done a similar thing next to the toilet. So the toilet has been fitted. It's got a soft close seat, which is essential these days. You can see it going down nice and slowly. But we've done the same here. Where the plumbing for the toilet is, we've fitted some tiles, but these again will be siliconed here rather than grouted. We put a bit of the aluminium trim on here just to make it look a bit nicer. And that means that if there's a problem in the future, you'll be able to cut those tiles out and access that without having to smash up the whole bathroom. And then the final thing in here is the towel rail, which looks pretty nice and stylish. So this is 1.6 meters high. It's chrome, sparkling, looks really nice. It's nicely, gives plenty of space between it and the toilet, so you're not going to burn yourself. Down the bottom, where we fed the pipes out of the wall, we've now fitted 2 valves. You see, the important thing here is to have the valve angled so that it doesn't stick out, doesn't protrude in front of the actual towel rail itself. And then we've also fitted a little chrome cover on the pipe, so the pipe you can't see is copper.
Today we've fitted all of the doors for the loft. So this door is for the ensuite shower room. You can see that we have gone for modern rose handle, which gives it a very stylish look. Now these are very inexpensive. I got these from Amazon. They didn't cost a fortune, but they look fantastic. And this has got a separate bathroom lock, so we've got a thumb turn lock to be able to lock the door. And you'll see that the latch that fits into is a double-sized one. We've put a brand new door stoppings. We've created this room from scratch, so you can see this is just raw timber. And if you look where the hinges are, these have been cut in to the timber, so they're flush fitting. So you can see they fitted in really nice and tight, which means that it'll be really lovely close. Now this door is not a fire door because you don't need it for the bathroom. The door to the room, however, is a fire door. So the room for the door for the bathroom is 35mm thick. This one's 44mm thick, and will resist fire for up to 30 minutes. These doors are oak, real oak. It's a veneer, so we fitted it with the same hinges, but the difference with these doors, the fire doors, is that they are a lot heavier. So they're much more solid. So we put 3 hinges on here to ensure that we don't have any creaks or squeaks or any movement at all underneath the new flooring. We need to make sure that the current floor is completely fixed down, so there's no movement whatsoever. So you can see here, we've gone round and applied screws into the joists that are underneath to all of the existing flooring. So every single piece of flooring has been screwed down completely firm, because if you leave any sort of movement or anything underneath the floor, then it will creak and squeak and make noise and will drive you mental. So you've got to make sure that you do that really well.
But we can see this section here. If we look at the underlay, this is what's known as royal gold underlay. So I grab a piece of that. It's essentially traditional underlay. So this is the sort of underlay that you'd have a little bit of flexible foam. But on top of that, it's got this moisture barrier. So this gold laminate covering, which gives you the protection that the floor is not going to warp. You're not going to get any moisture coming up and causing the boards to start beveling or buckling. And this also gives it a little bit more of a rich feel underfoot. So we've put all the royal gold down. You can see here, it just gets cut to size and laid out. And this is what's known as a floating floor. So we're not actually gluing this down. Literally, the wooden floor is sitting on top of this underlay. So literally, we'll just float on top of it. The key thing for a floating floor is that it will expand and contract. So you've got to make sure that you leave an expansion gap around the edges. So if I look at the edge of this here, we've got quite a significant gap. So I can get my finger in there, and we'll have that at both ends of this floor. And that means that, and we'll have it all the way around. So that will be all round this edge. So all the edges of the floor will have a similar gap, which is going to be quite significant. And that means that if the floor starts to expand and contract sideways or lengthways, then it's not going to cause the floor to start buckling. And we'll be hiding that by putting the skirting board over the top.
Finally, onto the painting. Not a particularly exciting part of the build to watch or talk about, but has to be done, obviously. So we had the fresh plaster, which was all pink and brown, and the first thing to do is apply a mist coat. So a mist coat is basically emulsion that's been watered down, and the reason for doing that is that when you put paint onto fresh plaster, it's very dry and it sucks all of the paint in very quickly. So you have a mist coat and it just helps seal it all before you then start putting the actual top coats on. Today we're looking at the addition of the skirting boards and the ARCHITRAVES. And if you're not familiar with the term, architrave is basically a vertical piece of wood like this one you can see here that goes around an opening in the room. So for this one it's a cupboard cover, but it could be for a door frame as well, or a wardrobe. So you can see here, since we last looked at it, we've fitted some MDF on the inside. So the brown section is all MDF, which gives it a really nice flush finish when you open the door. And then the architrave itself has been pinned on. So this has all been cut to size perfectly and then pinned on. So you can see, moving over to the built-in wardrobe here, we've got the MDF, which has been fitted slightly further out here so that we can make space for the architrave on the other side. And this has then been screwed into all of the wall from the inside here. These screw holes will be filled later and then painted over so you won't see them. And then the architrave's cut to size. You have to mitre the corners, so you can see you've got a diagonal cut on all of the corners. So you have two 45-degree cuts which match each other. And then these are then nailed to the wall. So you can see the tiny little nail marks all the way around the inside of this frame here. So they're all nailed and glued into position. So if we have a quick look at the chop saw in action, this is fitting a piece of skirting board. So we need to measure the exact size that we're looking for, and then we have to mitre the cut. So you can see that the saw's at a 45-degree angle. So we cut all of the sizes at 45 degrees so that when they meet each other on a corner, then there's a perfect fit and you don't get any gaps. So you can see here he's cut it 45 degrees, you then take it over and he's putting it around the corner. So if we follow him round and have a quick look, you can see that that fits perfectly. And where his fingers are there, you can see two 45-degree angles have met to form a lovely perfect fit. So that's the same corner a bit later. And what we're looking at here is further on, we've fitted all of these architraves now, so the door frame, if you like to call it that. And the skirting boards have all been done as well. So just following it round. Similar thing with the skirting boards. They're all cut to size and then nailed on. We have a look at the window board. This is something you buy ready-made. So it's got the bullnose rounded edge. And then you cut to size. And we've left an overhang here of about 1 inch, which is about right. Just having a quick look around, you can see all the different angles, all the different corners for the skirting boards. This has all been pinned on. Now, one of the things that's absolutely essential for a brilliant finish to make this room look absolutely fantastic is the caulking. We'll come back to that in a minute. But you can see this section here has already been caulked. So that's applying the caulk all across the top and the outside edge of all of the architrave and skirting board, and then finishing that to give it the top end professional finish. So we'll just show you a few more of the steps here. Same process. So the vertical part of the step, which is called the riser, we're applying the glue to those pieces because it's vertical, so it's much easier to actually put the glue onto the board. When you fit it in place, you might need to just knock it down a little bit, make sure it's tight against the board below before you put the tread on. So fit that nicely into place. Once that's on, you can then apply the glue for the next one. You can see we've already done this one, and then we're just laying the tread firmly into place. You can see the nosing, how that's creating a nice overhang on the stairs, really giving us that sort of first class finish, starting to look quite upmarket. So same process with the riser. The glue's applied to the riser, press that firmly into place, make sure it's nice and tight. And you can see it removes the gap with the stair below. And if you do get any adhesive that squeezes out and just oozes here and there, which will happen, just make sure you have a wet cloth to hand and wipe that off whilst it's still wet. Because if you wipe it off now, it'll be easy. This wood will dry and it won't leave a mark. If you leave it and it sets, then you're going to have a problem because oak is your finished surface. So you don't really want to be having to remove any adhesive if you can avoid it. It can be done. The oak we're working with here is unfinished, so you can apply some white spirit or some chemicals to remove that if you have to. Today is the last day of our series of videos showing the loft conversion we've been working through. Hopefully you've enjoyed them. So we'll start off here with the new staircase that's been installed. You can see that the balustrading has all been fitted and painted in. And just wanted to highlight the nice work that's been done on the plaster work to tie in the existing ceiling to the new sweep. Very nice curves here. And the new balustrade has been fitted alongside the existing balustrade. Now the spindles are not exactly the same. You can see if you look closely, they're not identical. However, now that they're painted in and tied together, they work really well, and you would never notice unless you're looking really closely. The staircase, we've made a video, you can see that separately, showing how we clad this staircase in oak to tie into the existing floors. But an important point here is we fitted an actual window into the stairwell, which brings in a lot of light and makes it feel part of the existing house. If you don't have that, you'll always have to have the light on when you go up these stairs, and it feels dark and it feels a bit more like an attic still. So I definitely recommend adding a window, especially if you're doing a hip to gable where you'll have a straight wall. So these stairs bring us up nicely to the new door that's been fitted. We have a quick look back down. You can see the fantastic oak finish ties in very well with the oak floors on the existing house. The new door, we had to fit new fire doors as part of the loft conversion under building regulations. So we took the opportunity to put real oak doors in with a nice handle, and now we can step through into the room. So the first thing that strikes you is the fantastic oak floor and the two Velux windows that we have installed on the pitched roof. So looking around, the real oak floor really gives this a sense of space. It opens up fantastically well, gives a really big feel to the room. Walking over towards the window, this is at the back of the dormer structure. So we've got a vertical wall. We've fitted a nice radiator here, and you can see through down into the garden. Really nice vista. And looking back across the room, so we've got the big oak floor. We've got the two cupboards at the far end. We'll go in there in a minute. And we've got the built-in wardrobe and the secret desk space around the side. But the oak floor was a real winner here. I can't stress that enough. If this was carpet, it wouldn't have as much of a wow factor. Really impressive. We've got great ceiling height in this room as well. We managed to get about 2.4 meters internal, which is really high. We're going over towards the storage, the built-in storage area. First thing we'll have a look at is the desk or dressing room area we've managed to create. Now this is quite small, so it's about 1.2 meters wide by about 2 meters deep, but it's certainly deep enough to fit a desk. So these days people are looking for home office working space. Think about how you're planning your loft. You can have an area like this as well. This could have been dead space. We could have closed it off, but we wanted to utilize as much as we could. The same goes for these eaves cupboards. We've made sure we've maximized the usable space here. So this is about 1.2 meters deep as well, and it's full width of the house, so it's almost 6 meters from side to side. So that's giving us a huge amount of storage space. It's sloping ceiling, so it's slightly restricted, but you'll be able to put your suitcases, Christmas trees, all the things that you want to store in here, put them in boxes. Really nice usable space. You'll see in the other videos we made a point of making the floor continuous, so it's the same floor throughout, but it really gives you a lot of extra storage space, which you usually lose when you do a loft conversion. You lose all the storage space, so you've got to think ahead about how to plan your storage. And there's another video on that which you can see in our series. We're going over to the wardrobe. We had to bring the door forward 850 mil, so we had a space here that naturally fitted to being a wardrobe. So we've fitted it in. We've put a hanging rail in. That's 1.2 meters above the floor. You can see the floor continues through, and we put skirting board inside the cupboard to make it look as finished as possible. So we've got the hanging rail 1.2, that leaves a bit of space beneath it, and then above that we've fitted in 3 shelves. So we've got the first shelf directly above the rail, the second shelf is about 300 above that, and then the third shelf is a hidden shelf. So we've got some space at the top, so you can see these 2 storage shelves, and then a bit above the top is sloping ceiling, but it gives you just that ability to store things in boxes, just extra storage, which is what everybody wants these days. Moving over to the ensuite shower room, we've got the same fittings. We've got nice polished chrome fittings throughout the whole loft and the whole house. So the same door that we have throughout the house, nice oak door, really not that expensive, but gives you a really high quality finish. Nice chrome handle. And then going through into the bathroom, this has been fully tiled. So we've fitted a walk-in shower to the left. This is 1.2 meter deep shower, so it's quite significant, it's quite spacious. Nice sliding door. Then we've got the chrome fittings, so we've got the overhead shower and the handheld shower. We've built in some storage space here, so you've got lots of space to store all of the shampoos and shower gels. We've got an overhead, oversized shower head. Really quite a luxurious finish. This is the type you'd get in a high-end hotel. And coming across, we've got a vanity unit, which is floor mounted. So this gives us more extra storage. It's got a built-in sink when you buy this unit. So a little bit more expensive than buying a normal sink, but it does give you that high quality feel. And then inside, you've got more storage for bleach and anything else that you want in your bathroom. We've fitted a chrome bottle trap to this, just to give it a little bit of higher quality feel. We've got a close coupled toilet alongside that. Neat, modern, slow coating seat, really quite effective look. And then we've put a large mirror above that. So mirror's not expensive, really quite a cheap finish, but just gives you that quality look. And we've put some of the tile trim that we used on the tiles. You can see in the other videos we've done, the tile trim gives you that really nice clean edge to where you've got a corner for your tiles. We've fitted this around the mirror and it gives it that really high-end feel. Just a little bit of extra finishing touch that's well worth it. Got a shaver socket on the wall so you can plug in your toothbrush, and up here we've got a little storage area. We've got some spare lighting and also access to the lights that are in the cubby holes. The extractor fan, which is a requirement, and the building regs. We've got a little bit more expensive, more modern version. You can see the tile trim here. This shows around the edge of the window how we finished it. So it just gives it that slightly more high quality feel. We've got a little bit of mosaic that we put through the tiles. You can see that on the other videos that we've done. A bit more detail on that, but just breaks up the grey finish. And then finally we've got the towel rail, which again, not super expensive, but just looks a nice quality finish if you get something a little bit more decorative than standard. So looking back into the room, we've got everything here has been siliconed, so we've got a nice clean white finish, easy to maintain. We'll keep everything super watertight. So really nice finish to the job that we've done here. High quality bathroom. It's only 1.5 meters deep, not a deep bathroom. So we've utilized the space well, but it's got everything you need. It's got the toilet, the sink, the shower, the radiator, and then finally we've done a threshold between the two floors. So we put a wooden threshold in here just to give it that modern feel. So thanks very much for watching. Hopefully you've enjoyed this series of videos, and we will see you all again soon. If you haven't done it already, please subscribe and we'll see you soon. Thanks very much.